January 29, 1945, 2:47 p.m. Holzheim, Belgium. First Sergeant Leonard Funk walks round the corner of a farmhouse and stops dead. 90 German soldiers are staring at him. Half of them are holding weapons. The other half are picking up rifles from a pile on the ground. For American G is kneel in the snow with their hands behind their heads. These Germans were prisoners 20 minutes ago. 80 of them captured by Funk's company during the assault on this village, guarded by 4 men. All that could be spared. Now they're free, armed, and organizing to attack Company C from the rear. A German officer steps forward, shoves an MP-40 submachine gun into Funk's stomach, screams something in German. Funk doesn't speak German. Neither do any of the Americans. The officer screams again, louder, face turning red. Funk looks at the 90 Germans, looks at his feu disarmed soldiers, looks at the MP-40 pressed against his gut, and starts laughing. The German officer's face twists, with confusion, then rage. He screams louder. Funk laughs harder. What happens next takes less than 60 seconds. 21 Germans will die. The rest will throw down their weapons and surrender. And Leonard Funk will win the Medal of Honor for one of the most insane acts of combat in World War II, all because he couldn't stop laughing. Leonard Alfred Funk, Jr. was born August 27, 1916, in Braddock Township, Pennsylvania, a steel town, smokestacks and foundries lining the Monongahela River, 8 miles east of Pittsburgh. Funk grew up fast, learned responsibility early. By the time he graduated high school in 1934, he'd already been taking care of his younger brother for years. The Army physical examiner looked at him and probably thought clerk duty. They were wrong. Funk volunteered for the paratroopers in 1941. American airborne forces barely existed. The concept was new, jumping out of perfectly good aircraft to land behind enemy lines and fight. Surrounded sounded like suicide to most soldiers. The volunteers were a different breed. They had to be. His ankle twists on impact, badly sprained, possibly fractured. The pain is immediate and intense. Every step will be agony for the next 2 weeks. But he can walk. He can fight. And that's all that matters. He gathers his chute, buries it, and starts moving. He's 40 miles from his drop zone, 40 miles of German-held territory in the dark, alone. Germany by Christmas. Field Marshal Montgomery's plan is ambitious, maybe too ambitious. The paratroopers have to capture and hold 7 bridges across 64 miles of Dutch territory. Ground forces will race up a single highway to link up with them. Everything depends on speed, on surprise, on nothing going wrong. Everything goes wrong. The British 1st Airborne Division lands at Arnhem, the furthest bridge. They're surrounded by SS Panzer divisions that weren't supposed to be there. For 9 days, they fight and die in the streets. Only 2,000 of 10,000 men make it out. The bridge too far enters military history is a cautionary tale. But Leonard Funk doesn't know about the big picture. He only knows his mission: support the landings, secure the drop zones, kill Germans. After touching down, his company secures their objective. Standard stuff. The 508th is operating near Nijmegen, helping to capture bridges that will allow ground forces to advance. Then Funk notices something that isn't part of the plan. 3 German 20mm flak anti-aircraft guns are firing at incoming Allied gliders. The gliders carry reinforcements, jeeps, artillery pieces, ammunition, medical supplies. If those guns keep firing, hundreds of men will die before they even hit the ground. The gun position is dug in on high ground near Vauxhall. Approximately 20 German soldiers man the weapons and provide security: sandbags, camouflage, interlocking fields of fire. Funk has 3 men. Standard military doctrine says you need a 3-to-1 advantage to assault a prepared position. Funk has the opposite. He's outnumbered 7-to-1. He attacks anyway, leading from the front. Funk and his 3-man patrol assault the German position. They kill the security detachment, storm the gun emplacements, neutralize all 3 weapons in their crews, 20 Germans. 3 Americans. The guns go silent. The gliders land safely. The Distinguished Service Cross, 2nd highest decoration for valor. Funk now has a Silver Star and ADSC. 2 of the rarest combat decorations in the American military. Most soldiers who earn even one are considered heroes for life. Funk still isn't done. December 16, 1944. The Germans launch their last desperate offensive. 3 armies for 100,000 men. 1,400 tanks. 1,900 artillery pieces. They crash through the American lines in the Ardennes forest, aiming for the port of Antwerp. Hitler's plan is insane, but almost works. He's gambling everything on one massive attack: split the Allied armies, capture Antwerp, force a negotiated peace in the west so Germany can focus on the Soviets in the east. For the Americans, it's a nightmare. The offensive hits thinly held sectors manned by green troops, and exhausted veterans pulled off the line to rest. Entire divisions crumble. Thousands of soldiers surrender. The German advance creates a bulge 50 miles deep in the Allied lines. The Battle of the Bulge. The largest battle the American army will fight in World War II. 89,000 American casualties before it's over. The weather is brutal. Snow, ice, temperatures dropping to 5 degrees below zero. Men freeze to death in their foxholes. Weapons jam. Vehicles won't start. The cold is as deadly as the Germans. Then comes Malmedy, December 17, 1944. 1 day into the offensive, a convoy from the 285th Field Artillery Observation Battalion is moving near the Borner's Crossroads when they run into the spearhead of Camp Frau Piper, an SS armored battle group. The Americans are rear echelon troops, artillery observers, radio operators. They are not equipped for a fight with tanks and armored infantry. After a brief engagement, 113 Americans surrender. They're herded into a farmer's field near the crossroads. Hands up, disarmed, prisoners of war. Then the SS opens fire. Machine guns, pistols, rifles. The Germans shoot them down like cattle. Men who try to run are cut down. Men who fall wounded are finished off with shots to the head. 84 Americans die in that field. Some survive by playing dead. They lie in the snow for hours. German boots walk past them. German voices laughing. When darkness comes, 43 survivors crawl away and make it back to American lines. The news spreads through the American army. Within hours, the Germans are executing prisoners. Malmedy changes everything. Before this, the war in Europe had rules, unofficial and spoken, but real. Soldiers surrendered when the situation was hopeless. Prisoners were treated according to the Geneva Convention. There was a kind of grim professionalism between enemies. After Malmedy, the rules are gone. American soldiers swear they'll never surrender to the SS. Some units pass down orders. No SS prisoners. When Funk hears about the massacre, something hardens inside him. He's already seen too much. Normandy, Holland, friends dying in fields and forests across Europe. But this is different. It's murder. Cold-blooded execution of men who had surrendered in good faith. Leonard Funk decides he will never surrender to the Germans. No matter what, that decision will matter very soon. January 29, 1945. The Ardennes. The German offensive has been broken. Now the Allies are pushing back. Company C, 508th Parachute Infantry, gets orders to capture the Belgian village of Holzheim. There's a problem. Company C is under strength. The executive officer, second in command, has been killed. They don't have enough men for the assault. Funk is now acting executive officer. He looks at his depleted roster and makes a decision. He walks to the company headquarters tent. Inside are clerks, supply personnel, cooks, men who normally never see combat. You're all infantry now, he tells them. Grab your weapons. We're taking that village. He forms a makeshift platoon. 30 men who spend most of the war behind desks. They've had basic training, sure, but real combat. Most of them have never fired a shot at another human being. Funk doesn't care. He needs bodies. He'll turn them into soldiers. The march to Holzheim is 15 miles through waist-deep snow in a driving blizzard. Temperatures well below freezing. German artillery shells explode around them, harassing fire from the flanks. Funk leads from the front. They reach Holzheim. Funk organizes the assault. His clerks, his makeshift warriors, follow him into the village. 15 houses, Germans in every one. Machine guns, rifles, grenades. Funk and his men clear them all. 30 prisoners captured. Not one American casualty. Another unit captures 50 more Germans on the other side of town. 80 prisoners total. They're corralled in the yard of a farmhouse. Funk looks at his exhausted men. They've been marching and fighting for hours. There's still resistance in other parts of the village. Scattered German soldiers who haven't surrendered yet. He can only spare from men to guard the prisoners. Keep them here, he tells the guards. We'll send reinforcements when we can. Funk heads back into the fight. He has no idea what's about to happen behind him. While Funk is clearing the rest of Holzheim, a German patrol approaches the farmhouse. 10 men, maybe 20, wearing white camouflage capes over their uniforms. In the snow and confusion, they look almost identical to American troops in winter gear. The four guards don't realize the danger until it's too late. The Germans overwhelm them, disarm them, force them to their knees. Then they free the prisoners. 80 German soldiers plus the patrol that freed them. 90 men total. They grab weapons from the pile. They organize quickly. They know exactly what they're going to do. Attack Company C from the rear. Funk's company is scattered across the village, mobbing up resistance. They are not expecting an attack from behind. If 90 Germans hit them while they're spread out, it would be a massacre. The German officer in charge, probably a lieutenant or captain, begins giving orders. Position the machine guns here, set up the ambush there, wait for my signal. That's when Leonard Funk walks round the corner. Funk has come to check on the prisoners. Routine. Make sure the guards are okay. See if reinforcements have arrived. He's not expecting to walk into 90 armed Germans. He rounds the corner of the farmhouse and freezes. The scene is surreal. His full guards are on. Their knees in the snow. The prisoners, who should be unarmed and contained, are standing everywhere, rifles in their hands, organizing for a battle. The German officer spots Funk immediately. The first sergeant's stripes on his sleeve, marking him as a leader. Surprised, the officer strides forward, shoves his MP40 into Funk's stomach. Screams a command in German to surrender. Drop your weapon. Funk doesn't understand a word. The officer screams again, louder, turning purple with rage. Funk looks round at 90 Germans, for guards disarmed. One American standing beside him, helpless. The mathematics of survival are zero. There is no scenario where Leonard Funk wins. The rational thing is to surrender. Funk remembers Malmedy. About 84 Americans murdered in a field. About what the Germans did to prisoners. He remembers his men. So instead of complying, Leonard Funk does something inexplicable. He starts laughing. Nobody knows exactly why Funk laughed. Maybe it was a ruse. A deliberate tactic to confuse the enemy and buy time. Maybe it was stress. The human brain does strange things when faced with certain death. Maybe it was genuine amusement. The absurdity of the situation. An officer screaming in German expecting compliance. Funk himself later said he tried to stop, laughing but couldn't, whatever the reason. The effect is devastating. The German officer screams louder. Funk laughs harder. He bends over, shoulders shaking, calls out to his men. I don't understand what he's saying. Some German soldiers start laughing too. The officer is completely thrown off. This isn't how prisoners behave. They beg, they plead, they comply. They don't stand there, laughing while you shove a gun in their stomach for a few critical seconds. The officer doesn't know what to do. Leonard Funk uses those seconds, still appearing to laugh. He slowly reaches for his Thompson submachine gun. It's slung over his shoulder. The German officer watches, expecting surrender. Then Funk moves in one motion, faster than thought. He swings the Thompson down, brings the muzzle into line, and squeezes the trigger. The M1A1 Thompson fires 45 ACP rounds at 600 per minute. At close range, each round hits like a sledgehammer. The first burst catches the German officer in the chest. 30 rounds in less than 3 seconds. The officer is dead before hitting the ground. Funk doesn't stop. He pivots, still firing, killing. The four guards, still on their knees, scramble for rifles dropped by the Germans. The Germans are in chaos, caught in crossfire they never expected. 60 seconds, that's all it takes. 21 German soldiers lie dead in the snow, 24 more are wounded. The rest, more than 40, throw down their weapons and surrender. Leonard Funk stands in the middle of the carnage, smoke rising from his Thompson. surrounded by bodies, that, he tells his men, was the stupidest thing I've ever seen. Company C secures Holzheim. The captured Germans are marched to the rear under heavier guard this time. Funk reports the incident to his commanding officer. Just another firefight. Just another day in the war. The story spreads through the regiment, the division. The entire 82nd Airborne, the sergeant who laughed at 90 Germans and killed half of them with a Tommy gun. When the Medal of Honor recommendation reaches Washington, nobody questions it. Outnumbered 90-1. Enemy weapon in his gut. Funk attacks. Ordered to surrender. He pretends to comply. Unslings his submachine gun and riddles the German officer. He turns on the rest of the Germans. Firing, shouting to Americans to seize enemy weapons. September 5, 1945. The White House, President Harry Truman places the Medal of Honor around Leonard Funk's neck. "I would rather have this medal," Truman says, "than be President of the United States." The Silver Star, the Distinguished Service Cross, the Bronze Star, the Purple Hearts, they're all symbols of valor and endurance. But none of them define Leonard Funk the way his actions in Normandy and Holland do. Fox. Company continues its advance, moving through villages, forests, and frozen rivers. Every step is a negotiation with death. Every encounter could be the last. His ankle still screams with pain. Each movement a reminder that survival is never guaranteed. He leads 18 men through 40 miles of enemy territory. A motley group of lost paratroopers from different units, companies, and regiments. They follow him, not because they have to, but because they trust him. Traveling at night, hiding by day, Funk insists on scouting ahead, taking the most dangerous position himself. Bullets whiz past, shrapnel tears trees apart. Yet he continues, silent and focused. He navigates through German-held France using a combination of instinct, training, and raw determination. Every dawn brings new challenges, enemy patrols, unexpected terrain, harsh weather, but Funk never falters. He makes decisions in seconds that determine life or death for all 18 men. His leadership is quiet but unyielding. By June 17th, the group links up with Allied forces. Every man survives, not a single casualty. Funk has guided them through chaos, through the dark heart of enemy territory, and they emerge alive. For this, he is awarded the Silver Star for gallantry, the Bronze Star for meritorious service, and his first Purple Heart for the injuries he sustained. These decorations are rare enough, but they barely scratch the surface of what Funk has endured. Months later, in September 1944, Funk participates in Operation Market Garden in the Netherlands. 35,000 paratroopers dropped to capture bridges across the Rhine. The Allies hoped to reach Germany by Christmas, filled Marshal Montgomery's planners. Ambitious, perhaps too ambitious, the paratroopers must capture and hold 7 bridges across. -1 for miles of Dutch territory. Ground forces are supposed to link up quickly, but the plan quickly unravels. The British 1st Airborne Division at Arnhem faces unexpected SS Panzer divisions for 9 days. They fight street by street. Out of 10,000 men, only 2,000 escape. Arnhem becomes a cautionary tale in military history. Funk, however, does not think about the broader failure. He focuses only on his mission: support the landings, secure the drop zones, eliminate German threats. Nijmegen. Funk notices 3 German 20mm flak anti-aircraft guns firing at incoming Allied gliders. These gliders carry reinforcements, artillery, ammunition, and medical supplies. If the guns are not neutralized, hundreds could die before even reaching the ground. The guns are manned by 20 German soldiers, with sandbags, camouflage, and interlocking fields of fire. Funk has only 3 men. Military doctrine says a 3-to-1 advantage is required to assault a fortified position. Funk has the opposite, outnumbered 7-to-1. He attacks anyway, leading from the front. Funk and his 3-man team assault the gun emplacement. They kill the security detail, storm the positions, and neutralize all 3 weapons. 20 Germans are dead. 3 Americans survive. The gliders land safely. For this, Funk receives the Distinguished Service Cross, the 2nd highest decoration for valor. He now holds 2 of the rarest combat awards in the American military. Most soldiers who earn even one are considered heroes for life. Funk is still far from finished. December 16, 1944, brings the Germans' last desperate offensive. 3 armies, 400,000 men, 1,400 tanks. 1,900 artillery pieces crash through American lines in the Ardennes. Hitler gambles everything on one massive attack, aiming to split the Allied armies, capture Antwerp, and force a negotiated peace in the West. For the Americans, it is a nightmare. Entire divisions collapse, thousands surrender. The German advance creates a 50-mile bulge in the Allied lines, the Battle of the Bulge, the largest the American army has ever fought, results in 89,000 American casualties. Brutal weather, snow, and ice make the conditions as deadly as the enemy. Men freeze in foxholes. Weapons fail. Vehicles refuse to start. On December 17th, a convoy from the 285th Field Artillery Observation Battalion encounters the spearhead of Camp Frau-Piper, an SS armored battle group. These Americans are unprepared. Artillery observers, radio operators, rear echelon troops. A brief skirmish ends with 113 Americans surrendering. They are herded into a farmer's field. Hands up. Disarmed, prisoners of war. The SS opens fire. Machine guns, pistols. Rifles, they are mowed down like cattle. Men attempting to escape are shot. Wounded men are executed. 84 Americans die. Some survive by pretending to be dead, lying in snow for hours as German boots walk past. 43 survivors eventually crawl back to Allied lines. News spreads quickly. The massacre at Malmedy changes everything. Rules of war, previously unspoken but real, vanish. American soldiers vow never to surrender to the SS. Funk hears of the massacre and something hardens within him. He has already seen too much. Normandy, Holland, friends dying. But this is different. It is murder, cold-blooded execution of men who surrendered in good faith. Leonard Funk decides he will never surrender. No matter the circumstances, that decision will soon prove critical. As January 29, 1945 approaches, the German offensive in the Ardennes has been broken. The Allies push forward. Funk's company C is ordered to capture Holzheim, Belgium. There is a problem. The company is under strength. The executive officer is dead. Funk is acting executive officer. He gathers what remains of his unit and takes command. He enters the company headquarters tent. Inside are clerks, supply personnel, cooks, men who normally never see combat. You're all infantry now. He tells them, grab your weapons. We're taking that village. He forms a makeshift platoon of 30 men. They have had basic training but little combat experience. Funk does not hesitate. He needs bodies. He will turn them into soldiers. The march to Holzheim is 15 miles through waist-deep snow, in a blizzard, with temperatures well below freezing. German artillery shells explode nearby. Funk leads from the front. Upon reaching Holzheim, he organizes the assault. His clerks, his makeshift warriors, follow him into 15 houses, clearing Germans with rifles, machine guns, and grenades. 30 prisoners are captured. With no American casualties, another unit captures 50 more. 80 prisoners are corralled in a farmhouse yard. Funk assigns for men to guard them. Reinforcements are promised, but delayed. Funk heads back into battle. Unaware of the danger growing behind him, a German patrol approaches the farmhouse, 10 to 20 men. Wearing white winter camouflage, nearly identical to American uniforms, the four guards are overwhelmed, disarmed, forced to their knees. They free the prisoners. 80 Germans plus the patrol 90 men in total grab weapons and organized to attack Company C from the rear. Funk's scattered troops are unprepared. The German officer begins positioning machine guns, setting up ambushes, waiting for the signal. Funk walks round the corner, expecting routine check. He freezes. The four guards are kneeling. The prisoners are armed. 90 Germans are ready for combat. The officer spots Funk, shoves an MP40 into his stomach, screaming in German for him to surrender. Funk does not understand. The officer screams again. Red-faced with rage, Funk sees the impossibility of the situation. 90 enemies for disarmed Americans, one helpless companion. Survival math is 0. Funk remembers Malmedy. 84 Americans murdered. He has resolved never to surrender. Instead of surrendering, Funk laughs. The reason is unclear, perhaps a ruse, perhaps stress, perhaps genuine amusement. The effect is immediate. The German officer is confused, then enraged. Soldiers begin to hesitate. Some even laugh. Funk slowly reaches for his Thompson submachine gun. Slung over his shoulder, the officer relaxes, expecting surrender. In one motion, Funk swings the weapon, bringing the muzzle into line. He fires. 30 rounds strike the German officer, killing him instantly. Funk continues, pivoting, firing. While his men scramble for dropped rifles, chaos ensues. Within 60 seconds, 21 Germans are dead, 24 wounded, and the rest surrender. Funk stands amidst the carnage, smoke rising from his Thompson. That, he tells his men, was the stupidest thing I've ever seen. Company C secures Holzheim. Captured Germans are taken rearward under heavier guard. Funk reports to his commanding officer. The story spreads through the regiment and division. Funk, the sergeant who laughed at 90 Germans and killed half of them with a Tommy gun, becomes legendary. His Medal of Honor recommendation reaches Washington, September 5, 1945. At the White House, President Truman places the medal around Funk's neck. I would rather have this medal than be President of the United States, Truman says, acknowledging the courage, wit, and audacity of a 5'5" former store clerk from Pennsylvania. The days after Holzheim blur into a relentless march of combat. Cold and exhaustion, Funk and Company C are pushed into one engagement after another. The Ardennes snow turning every footstep into a battle against frostbite as well as the enemy. Yet Leonard Funk remains unshaken. His body may be battered, his ankle still weak, but his mind is razor-sharp, calculating each move, anticipating every threat. Survival is not just instinct, it is strategy. Every patrol he leads, every village he clears, is a lesson in adaptability, courage, and precision, even as reinforcements arrive. Funk continues to lead from the front. He moves with the confidence of a man who has faced death countless times and emerged victorious. He is not the largest man on the battlefield, nor the strongest. But there is something in his demeanor that commands respect. Young soldiers, barely out of their teens, look to him for guidance. Funk gives it quietly, firmly, and without hesitation. He does not speak of glory. He does not speak of medals. The war is about survival, leadership, and protecting his men at any cost. News of the massacre at Malmedy hangs in the back of his mind. The memory of those executed men steels his resolve. Funk's decisions are colored not by fear, but by a hard sense of justice. He has seen the consequences of surrendering to the SS, and he refuses to make the same mistake. Every encounter with the enemy is fought with this principle in mind. Funk's reputation begins to spread not just for his combat skill, but for his unshakable composure under pressure. He is a sergeant, a leader, and a strategist all at once. The winter of 1945 is particularly cruel. Temperatures drop well below zero, artillery fire pierces the frozen air, and snowstorms make visibility nearly impossible. Funk's company pushes forward, engaging German units in villages and forests. Fighting for every inch of territory, soldiers rely on Funk's instincts to navigate treacherous terrain and ambushes, time and again. He makes the impossible possible. He scouts ahead through deep snow, often alone, assessing enemy positions, returning to guide his men safely. His courage inspires them. His calm under fire reassures them. In February 1945, the company advances toward the Rhine. Funk continues to demonstrate extraordinary bravery and leadership. He coordinates attacks, organizes defenses, and rescues wounded soldiers. He performs acts of valor that are recognized by his commanding officers, earning additional decorations for gallantry and meritorious service. Each award tells a story. But Funk never lets them define him. He is focused on the men under his command and the mission at hand. As Allied forces press into Germany, Funk's experience and tactical genius become invaluable. He navigates through minefields, artillery barrages, and fortified positions with skill and determination. His small unit often faces overwhelming odds, yet they emerge with minimal casualties. Funk's ability to make split-second decisions and adapt to ever-changing circumstances becomes legendary within the regiment. Amidst the chaos of war, Funk maintains a quiet humanity. He ensures his men are fed, checks on the wounded, and provides reassurance in moments of despair. His leadership is not just tactical, it is personal. Soldiers follow him not out of fear or obligation, but because they trust him to lead them through the unthinkable. Funk becomes a living example of the principle that courage is not about size, strength, or training. It is about maintaining composure and making the right choices when lives hang in the balance. By March 1945, Funk's company is engaged in the final pushes toward the heart of Germany. Cities and villages are liberated. But resistance remains fierce. Funk leads assaults on fortified positions, often with a handful of men against larger enemy forces. Each operation tests his resolve, his tactical skill, and his endurance. Yet he continues to excel, demonstrating why he is considered one of the most decorated and capable paratroopers of World War II. Every engagement reinforces a lesson Funk has learned early in his military career. War does not favor the reckless or the fearless. It favors the disciplined, the thoughtful, and those who can think when others have stopped. In the midst of chaos, Funk's calm, decisive actions turn the tide of battle. He continues to accumulate towards each one a testament to his courage, leadership, and ingenuity in the face of overwhelming odds. As the Allies close in on the Rhine, Funk reflects on the men who have fought alongside him, those who have fallen, and those who have survived through sheer determination. His experiences in Normandy, Holland, and the Ardennes have forged a leader capable of extraordinary feats. Funk's actions at Holzheim, in particular, remain a defining moment, illustrating the combination of audacity, intelligence, and courage that sets him apart. Through the bitter cold, relentless fighting, and constant threat of death, Funk's focus remains unwavering. He understands that each decision can mean life or death, not just for himself, but for the men who trust him with their lives. His legacy is not built on self-promotion or fame. It is built on action, on doing what is necessary in the moment, and on bringing his men home alive. By the time the Allies crossed the Rhine and pushed deeper into Germany, Funk's reputation as a fearless and ingenious leader is cemented. His medals, decorations, and commendations accumulate. Yet he remains humble, never seeking recognition. He continues to lead from the front, embodying the principles of courage, resourcefulness, and integrity. Leonard Funk's story becomes a testament to the extraordinary achievements possible when ordinary men rise to meet the extraordinary demands of war. The winter of 1945 gives way to the early days of the Allied push into Germany. Leonard Funk and his company move through villages, forests, and frozen landscapes. The remnants of war evident in every destroyed building and overturned vehicle. Funk's experience in Normandy, Holland, and the Ardennes has honed his instincts. Funk's leadership extends beyond combat. He ensures that his men are fed, clothed, and cared for in the harsh conditions of winter warfare. Frostbite and exposure are as dangerous as bullets. And Funk takes every precaution to protect his soldiers. He checks on the wounded personally, offering guidance and reassurance, and instills confidence in men who have faced unimaginable terror. He identifies enemy weaknesses and exploits them, often turning smaller engagements into decisive victories. His ability to coordinate attacks, anticipate ambushes, and maintain morale under extreme conditions makes him an invaluable leader. The lessons of Malmedy and Holtzheim remain with Funk. He understands the ruthlessness of the enemy and the stakes of surrender. These experiences shape his approach to combat: vigilance, decisiveness, and relentless determination. He instills these principles in his men, emphasizing that survival requires both courage and cunning. Funk's reputation grows among Allied forces, not only for his tactical brilliance, but also for his extraordinary ability to inspire those around him. As the Allies push deeper into Germany, Funk's company faces increasingly desperate resistance. German soldiers are determined, entrenched, and often fight with fanatic intensity. Funk navigates these challenges with skill and composure, leading assaults on fortified positions with a combination of strategy and boldness. Small units under his command achieve objectives that would seem impossible to others, minimizing casualties and maximizing effectiveness. Funk's calm decisiveness under fire continues to define his leadership style. The spring of 1945 brings renewed momentum to the Allied advance. Funk's unit moves through towns scarred by months of combat, encountering pockets of German resistance and civilians caught in the crossfire. He balances aggression with prudence, ensuring that his men achieve their objectives while avoiding unnecessary loss of life. Funk's focus remains on completing the mission and safeguarding his soldiers. Throughout these operations, Funk's courage and leadership are recognized repeatedly. He earns additional decorations for valor and meritorious service, yet he remains humble, focused solely on the mission and the men under his command. His actions continue to demonstrate that true heroism is measured not by accolades, but by the ability to lead others through impossible circumstances. In late April 1945, as the Allies approach the heart of Germany, Funk reflects on the journey that brought him from a steel town in Pennsylvania to the front lines of the most destructive war in history. Why? His experiences in Normandy, Holland. And the Ardennes have shaped him into a leader capable of extraordinary feats of bravery and strategy. Funk's understanding of war, human nature, and survival is unparalleled, and his actions continue to save lives and achieve objectives that others might consider impossible. By the time the Allied forces close in on key German cities, Funk's reputation as one of the most capable paratroopers of World War II is firmly established. His actions in the final months of combat highlight the combination of intellect, bravery, and humanity that sets him apart from his peers. Leonard Funk emerges from the war not as a man seeking fame or recognition, but as a leader defined by action. His bravery, resourcefulness, and unwavering dedication to his men have earned him some of the highest military honors. Yet Funk remains grounded, understanding that the true measure of a soldier is not in medals, but in the lives protected and the missions completed under impossible circumstances. His story becomes a testament to the extraordinary potential of ordinary men when faced with the ultimate test of courage and leadership. With the war in Europe drawing to a close, Leonard Funk's extraordinary journey begins to wind down. The relentless pace of combat has forged him into a soldier capable of feats that few could imagine. Yet, even as the final battles rage across Germany, Funk remains focused not on glory, but on his men and the completion of the mission. Every village cleared, every enemy neutralized, every soldier protected is a testament to his dedication, intelligence, and courage. The surrender of German forces accelerates. But Funk does not let down his guard. He understands that discipline, vigilance, and strategic thinking are still required until the last objective is secured. His leadership ensures that Company C continues to operate efficiently, minimizing casualties while maximizing the impact of each engagement. Funk's reputation spreads beyond his unit. He becomes known as the paratrooper who combines audacity, composure, and tactical brilliance. As the Allies occupy German cities and towns, Funk reflects on the magnitude of the conflict and the personal cost it has demanded. He thinks of Normandy, Holland, the Ardennes, and holds high in the villages where courage, strategy, and sheer determination defined the outcome of life or death encounters. Funk has witnessed horrors that would break most men, yet he has emerged not hardened by cynicism, but tempered by experience. His actions have saved countless lives, both American and Allied, and have left an indelible mark on history. September 5, 1945. Brings recognition from the highest level. President Harry Truman personally awards Leonard Funk the Medal of Honor at the White House. "I would rather have this medal than be President of the United States," Truman says, acknowledging Funk's valor, audacity, and leadership. Funk's story, however, remains grounded. He does not seek fame or accolades. He views the medal as a symbol of duty fulfilled, of decisions made under impossible circumstances, and of lives protected through courage and ingenuity. Funk's legacy includes a staggering array of military honors: the Medal of Honor for his actions at Holzheim, the Distinguished Service Cross for neutralizing anti-aircraft guns in Holland, the Silver Star for leading 18 men through 40 miles of enemy territory in Normandy, the Bronze Star, 3 Purple Hearts, and several foreign awards including the Croix de Guerre from France, the Order of Leopold from Belgium, and the Military Order of William from the Netherlands. These decorations recognize extraordinary bravery and service, yet Funk himself remains humble, believing that leadership and action matter far more than recognition. After the war, Funk returns to Pennsylvania, to the life he left behind in Braddock Township. He does not write a book or tour as a public speaker. He does not use his fame as a platform for politics or personal gain. Instead, he joins the Veterans Administration, dedicating 27 years to helping fellow veterans navigate the bureaucracy, secure benefits, and rebuild their lives. He applies the same discipline, intelligence, and care to this work that he applied in combat. His service continues, quietly and heralded, but no less important. Funk's family life reflects the stability and humility that have always defined him. He marries Gertrude, and together they raised daughters in McKeesport, Pennsylvania. Funk lives a quiet life, far from the battlefield, yet the Medal of Honor and other decorations remain symbols of a past defined by extraordinary courage. He never boasts or seeks attention. When asked about Holtzheim or the moments that made him legendary, he simply says, "I did what I had to do." Leonard Funk dies on November 20, 1992, in Braddock Hills, Pennsylvania, at the age of 76. He is buried at Arlington National Cemetery, among the heroes of every American war. At the time of his death, he is the last surviving Medal of Honor recipient from the 82nd Airborne Division in World War II. Today, his legacy endures through memorials. A fitness center at Fort Bragg, now Fort Liberty, bears his name. A highway in Pennsylvania is dedicated to him, and a post office in McKeesport honors his life of service. Yet Funk remains less known than other American heroes such as Audie Murphy or Alvin York. He is remembered by those who understand that heroism is not measured by fame or media attention, but by quiet, decisive action in the face of overwhelming odds. The story of Leonard Funk is a lesson in courage, intelligence, and leadership. It reminds us that war does not favor size, strength, or recklessness. It favors those who think, who act decisively, and who protect others even when the odds are impossible. At Holtzheim, Funk had every reason to surrender. 90 men opposed him. A gun pressed into his stomach, his men already captured, by any rational calculation. The situation was hopeless, yet Funk acted differently. He laughed, perhaps as a tactic, perhaps out of stress, perhaps in recognition of the absurdity of the moment. While the German officer was confused and off balance, Funk made his move. 60 seconds later, he stood alive among the bodies of the men who had threatened him. The village secured, his men safe. His courage was a combination of intelligence, instinct, and humanity. President Truman understood this. In awarding the Medal of Honor, he acknowledged that courage is not a matter of size or strength. It is what you do when the odds are impossible. When a gun is pressed into your stomach, and 90 men want you dead, Leonard Funk's life, both in and out of combat, exemplifies this principle. His story teaches that heroism is defined not by medals or recognition, but by action, integrity, and the protection of others under the most extreme circumstances. It is a legacy that continues to inspire generations of soldiers, leaders, and ordinary citizens alike.